What a game. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Let's Be Frank About Sports. I am your host, Frank Agino. The American League Championship Series has now wrapped up, and it is the Houston Astros that are advancing to the World Series to face the Washington Nationals as they win Game 6, 6-4 in walk-off fashion thanks to a clutch two-run homer from Jose Altuve after the Yankees had made a great comeback to tie the game. And it's just like there are so many takeaways, because one of the things that really just doesn't make sense to me is that with the rain out that you had, it's like that's something that you can't control. So why would you have to, force the teams to be in a bad predicament where they're not rested, they have to travel, and they don't have their rested pitchers, and they have to do 2 bullpen games? I mean, in an elimination game, a huge game like this, Game 6, Saturday night, prime time, is that what people want to see, is bullpen games? Now, luckily, it still turned out to be a really good game, very competitive game, exciting game. And I have to be honest with you, for a while, in the middle innings, once the Yankees started to make the comeback after Yuli Gurriel hit the big 3-run homer to put the Astros up 3-0, very similar to the 3-run homer Aaron Hicks hit in the previous game to put the Yankees up. At that time, it was 4-1. But still, it's just like as the Yankees were slowly starting to claw back and the Astros had to go through pitcher after pitcher after pitcher. Gio Urshela is the home run. We see Gary Sanchez hitting. We see Didi Gregorius hitting. And I just felt that, okay, maybe the Yankees could win this game. And then you never know what happens Game 7. Not in the Yankees' favor, Garrett Cole versus Luis Severino. But they had that matchup before, and the Yankees were right there. So that is another big thing. The Yankees were definitely in the series. They were not blown out. They were not overmatched. I just think that it's like little things, and the Yankees could definitely, I don't want to say definitely beat the Astros, but they definitely have a chance at the World Series. So that's definitely something I'll get into in a little bit. But still, just once the Yankees made the comeback in the 9th inning, after, of course, DJ LeMahieu has the 2-run homer to tie it up against Ozuna, you just felt like, the Yankees have so much momentum and they have so much fight. Maybe they could pull this thing off, but Aroldis Chapman answers by serving up a 2-run homer to Jose Altuve. And a huge thing from this game is, why is Jose Altuve even batting? Because if you remember, A.J. Hinch took Michael Brantley out of the game for defensive purposes, which was a little weird because Michael Brantley had just made a great double play a couple innings earlier where he caught the line drive and threw Aaron Judge out at first base to double him off. So it's not that Michael Brantley is a bad defensive player. I mean, he's not as quick as a Jake Marisnick. But still, it's just like you could face Marisnick with 2 outs, mind you, in a tie game instead of facing Jose Altuve. So that was definitely a big mistake. And Chapman, all of a sudden, he lost his control, which is very common of Aroldis Chapman. We know that about him. He started overthrowing. He's throwing pitches up and away. And like I said in previous podcasts, but he hangs a slider. And all of a sudden, the slider is becoming like the worst pitch in baseball, because that is the pitch that so many of these, strong arms are getting caught with. We saw Edwin Diaz get crushed by sliders way too many times, more than we could count. We saw Severino get hurt by sliders in the series. We saw Ottavino get hurt by sliders in this series. And now the same thing with Chapman. So that was fascinating. And the other thing to me was the way Chapman smiled after he had just blown the season for the Yankees and cost them a trip to go to the World Series. I don't even know how you could possibly smile. I really don't. Like, I'm a very competitive person, and one of the things I compare it to is, if you remember when Clayton Kershaw blew the game for the Dodgers, the way he was just like staring at the ground for a whole hour pretty much, and was just so distraught and like so disappointed they let his team down. It makes me think like Chapman doesn't really care about the team that much, which, I mean, I don't know. I've never met him, obviously, but a guy who has a history of domestic violence, and we heard rumors during the season that he may want to opt out of his contract. I think that's going to make a fascinating scenario for the Yankees. And one of the things is that this team does need upgrades. Don't get me wrong. You can't run this same punch out there, because one of the big things for me with the Yankees is the 2 biggest problems that they have, they still showed in this game, and that is not having quality enough starting pitching to match up with a Verlander and a Cole. Tanaka could get you one of them, but you need another guy, and you would like even another pitcher to, make the deciding factor where Greinke is not locked down. If you have another, 3 really good pitchers, that's going to put you at a significant advantage, kind of the way the Nationals have with Scherzer, Strasburg, and Corbin. And I think this is going to make for a really good World Series. Astros-Nationals, really good matchup of starting pitching and, just a lot of young core players. It's going to be a good World Series. The Astros will win, but it'll be competitive. It'll be good. But still, for the Yankees, besides the starting pitching, striking out too much, relying on home runs too much. That was a problem last year. It was a problem the year before. And it's still a problem this year. It's gotten better because of the emergence of DJ LeMahieu, who after this game really deserves to win the MVP in my mind. I hope that the writers will take playoff performance in account to the MVP. I don't know if maybe Alex Bregman has a really, really good World Series. Maybe that could alter some people's minds, but I just think that DJ LeMahieu has done so much for this team, and he really carried this team throughout the year. And in these playoffs, I mean, he was super clutch, hitting a bunch of home runs, and that was one of the things about LeMahieu. He was not brought in here to hit home runs. He was brought in for position versatility. The Yankees weren't quite sure exactly where they're going to play him because one of the things no one's ever talked about is how about Miguel Andujar? He missed the whole season. No one even said a word about him because of how good Gio Urshela and DJ LeMahieu were. And obviously, Gleyber Torres keeps developing and becoming a star. And you have Didi out there, so you're not going to get rid of him. But still, it's just the way DJ LeMahieu had such a big impact for this Yankees team. But, I mean, he was hitting a lot of home runs, and that was where the Yankees offense was coming from. 3 of their 4 runs tonight were from the home run ball. All 4 of their runs from last night were from home runs. The game they lost to Garrett Cole, their 1 run was a home run from Gleyber Torres. So definitely relying on the home run ball too much, striking out too much with runners on base. And the other thing that the Yankees did was they hit into too many double plays. I mean, you can't drive the runners in if you're hitting into double plays and ending the innings. So that was a big problem. The other thing that stood out was where the Astros, I believe it was in the 6th inning, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was the 6th inning, where the Alex Bregman was up and the Yankees were in the shift, and they were playing back even though they were runners at the corners. And on the radio broadcast, John Sterling was going crazy. I mean, he was really going crazy saying the Yankees need to play the infield in. Oh, you can't let guys score. And he was like really just letting them have it. Then right on cue, the Astros get a run because the Yankees were not playing the infield in. And they didn't even turn the double play. They were luckily able to get out of it and not allow more runs. But still, what is pretty interesting is that this game was tied after DJ LeMahieu hit the homer, but the Yankees would maybe have the lead because the Astros would have one last run. But that's still such a what if, and Altuve still could have hit the home run. So you really you never ever know with these baseball games. And like when they are this close and there's the bullpen game and there's so many things that happen, it's just like you could pinpoint so many little things and be like, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? You know, what if the umpire didn't call a check swing a strike? Or, you know, the pitch to Brett Garner, that was outside. You know, like there's so many different things that you could point out to. But I just think that if you're a baseball team, you want to build sustainability. You want to be able to be prepared for everything. And in every game, you have a chance to win because of the way you're constructed. And I believe a team like the Houston Astros with guys like a Springer and an Altuve and a Brantley and a Bregman and a Gurriel and a Correa, those are just really good hitters and really good players to where they hit for the high averages. They don't strike out that much. They draw their walks. They fight in the at-bats. And they capitalize off mistakes. And they're clutch. So, like, that's a lot of things that the Houston Astros have going right for them. And if you're a team, I feel like you want to do the same thing. We have not really seen a team that was all or nothing home runs win a World Series in recent memory, especially lately in these past few years. It has been these teams that have the timely hitting, the Kansas City Royals, the Giants, the Astros, the Red Sox. This year will probably be the Astros again. You know, it's just a lot of parallels. They have good starting pitching. You think the Giants with Bumgarner, the Royals, I mean, the Mets bullpen definitely gave them a big hand in it. But still, the Astros, they had a lot of timely hitting. The Red Sox had a lot of timely hitting. So that is definitely, it's just like what goes with championship teams. So if that's what you're seeing and you're observing, you would try to do the same thing. And like I've said before, it's not going to be easy. Now, one of the very, very interesting things for the offseason for the Yankees is, are they going to go back to the old Yankees? And what I mean by that is the team that spent such an exuberant amount of money, more money than anybody, gets all the top players, all the big-time all-star veterans, that's just like this. They spent so much money on this team, how could they not win? Which the Yankees have definitely been guilty of in the past, and they still have a pretty high payroll now. But I wonder if after all these disappointing years, with a good young core they have, I mean, you do have Aaron Judge on this team, and you have Gleyber Torres, and you have DJ LeMahieu for a little longer. You have Gary Sanchez. You have to decide what you want to do with Didi, with Urshela, and what do you want to do with Tanaka and all these different pitchers? What kind of upgrades do you want? Who do you want to get rid of? So there's a lot of things the Yankees have to consider, but just a little few pieces here or there, and the Yankees could be a World Series team. And I think priority number one has got to be getting Garrett Cole from the Astros. I don't know if Cole's going to be, driven by money, But I would do whatever it takes to get Cole. I would let Didi walk. I would let Garner walk. I would let Encarnacion walk. I would let so many guys go to have the money to offer Garrett Cole because of the competition stealing him from the Astros. Could you imagine this series if the Yankees had Garrett Cole compared to the Astros? I think the Yankees win the series just on that alone. But if you're letting Didi walk and you let Encarnacion walk and you let Brett Garner walk, what you have to do is fill in with position players with a high average. You have to get the Michael Brantley. You have to get the DJ LeMahieu and pray that maybe you find another Gio Urshela. Maybe give Cameron Maybin some more playtime. All these other young guys that the Yankees used throughout the year, Talkman and Ford, Austin Romine. I mean, give all these guys more opportunities to see what you have. And again, spend the money. Could you get Cole and Rendon? Could you just get Strasburg? I mean, there's going to be options out there for the Yankees. But the Yankees also have to try to find ways to create some flexibility salary cap-wise, because one of the big problems is all the money committed to Giancarlo Stanton, who in this elimination game didn't even play. And Stanton got to play last night. He struck out with runners on. Could you imagine if Hicks had not hit that home run, how much everybody would be killing Stanton? So they're going to kill him regardless. But I think the Yankees do have to decide what they want to do with him, because that doesn't look like a good long-term investment, especially when you still have guys like Judge and Sanchez and Torres at really low salary numbers, getting underpaid. And once arbitration kicks in, all those numbers are going to increase. Plus, you need to add more payroll because you do need more players. This team is not going to get it done. You need more big-time starting pitching. And I said you need more position players that have the high average. And I'm curious to see, what philosophy do the Yankees take? And I don't, I don't love Aaron Boone as a manager, because, there were many times where we questioned his decision-making and just the way he goes about the game. And I think not walking Altuve and not playing the infield in, or leaving Ottavino in too long, or not having the right lineup construction, there were so many things that we talked about with Aaron Boone that he did not do that right. And for me, I don't remember too many things from the series where I said, wow, Aaron Boone did a really good job there. That was the right thing to do. I can't really recall any moments like that. I feel like this team is much more talent-driven than manager-driven. I think everybody could agree with that. And the Yankees are not going to fire Aaron Boone. I mean, that's a thing, too, because Aaron Boone is just a new-age manager. They're very analytical. They're by the book. They're controlled by the front office. And that is exactly what the Yankees have in Boone. I don't think they're going to get rid of him, because even if they did, who are you going to replace with him? You're not going to get any old-school manager that's, not with the analytics and it's about winning games. So we'll see what happens for the future with Aaron Boone. But I just think that after getting eliminated by the Astros a couple years ago, getting eliminated by the Red Sox, now getting eliminated by the Astros again, I just feel like you've seen, what are they doing that we're not doing? And it's just very obvious. So again, I'm really, really curious to see what the Yankees are going to do with the offseason and who they are going to get and what kind of changes are they going to make. What do you do with Chapman? What do you do with Stanton, Encarnacion, all these different guys? Are you going to maybe give Judge a long-term extension? How's that going to affect your salary numbers? What are you going to do with Severino? Because he's a guy that you really can't trust, because the Yankees, they don't really get much out of him. And one of the other interesting things that, of course, was right on cue was I said I didn't love how much the Yankees were using the bullpen. Granted, the Yankees have a tremendous bullpen, but if you use it every single game and it's the same exact pitchers, eventually the hitters are going to catch on. And if you remember what Carlos Correa said when they won the game the other night, Correa said, as I've seen, Ottavino or whoever more and more, you get more used to them, they become easier to hit. So that was just very obvious, and you can have as good of a bullpen as you want, but eventually they were going to break down. And one of the other things was that it was going to be hard to win Game 7, Cole versus Severino. That was going to be very tough. But then to beat a rested Washington Nationals team that has a much better starting rotation than you and really good hitters, that was going to be a tough series as well. So for the Yankees, they are going to need to make some changes. But it's still a very good team. And it's not anything drastic, you know what I mean? It's like one more big-time starting pitcher. You have Cole and Strasburg. Those are the guys you have to go after. You could try Zach Wheeler. Maybe the Mets could trade Marcus Stroman. There are some guys out there. You could try Bumgarner again, even though I don't think the Giants want to get rid of him. So there are options out there. So that's definitely advantage Yankees. But then I think the position players, that's going to be tough. Who do you want to keep? Who do you want to get rid of? Well, all that is going to be very to follow. When Andujar comes back healthy, what are you going to do at third base? What do you do with Urshela? That's all going to be very tough decisions to make. Bring back Brett Gardner. So a lot of different things going on. And the Yankees are also going to need more starting rotation depth in general, because with CC Sabathia out of the mix and, you're going to have Happ, you don't want to do opener that much during the regular season. You do want to get another starting pitcher out there. So that's definitely going to be important for the Yankees. But that will do it. And all in all, it is a good season. Like, you do have to be proud because of how competitive they were in these series. It was just like little things here or there, just driving in the runners when they're on base in certain instances. That would have helped the Yankees, but they missed opportunities. They capitalized on some opportunities. In the game where Verlander pitched, I mean, Hicks being able to crush Verlander for the 3-run homer and LeMay hitting the home run, that was big because Verlander did not have his stuff at all in that first inning. He was overthrowing. He was leaving his curveball up, which is not Verlander at all, and the Yankees capitalized off it. That's what you have to do. But it's just like when you have those runners on base, you just got to find a way to bring them in. I don't care if you bunt. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you get hit with the pitch. Whatever it takes, you just have to find different ways to score runs. You have to play the infield in. So that's all different things to describe, ways to improve your team. And we'll see what happens. And I will be there in the World Series. I'll make some podcasts there. Basketball season is starting this week. We're going to be talking about the Brooklyn Nets and some other basketball-related things. So a lot of good stuff coming. Mets still have not decided on the manager, and it seems more likely that's going to be Carlos Beltran. And again, I'm waiting until it actually happens before I react. But I do appreciate the support I have gotten during this playoff series. I'm kind of sad the Yankees got limited because there goes all my views right out the window. You know, these have definitely been more views. And I'm glad you guys are enjoying this because I am enjoying making it. This is something I want to make a career out of, whether it's talking in New York or wherever. I do love talking sports, writing about sports. That is what I like to do. It's my passion. But if you guys did enjoy this, leave a like, comment, some feedback. What moves you think the Yankees can make in the offseason? And any other thing that's on your mind related to sports. I mean, we're talking about a wide range of topics. We have a football podcast coming out tomorrow. So there's a lot of different things that are going on. Show a friend. And until the next time, have a good one, everybody. And, sleep well, Yankee fans. There still is hope.